All right, ladies and gents, welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin podcast. This is the show where we talk on trending stories, thought-provoking topics, really of all fields, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, all of the above. I'm here right now. As you see, we got a little different setup right now. I'm here with my bro, Mr. Nick Halmond-Walters, host of Life Recreated podcast. He's been on the show many times. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, man? You good?
Doing great. So this really is the episode, guys, where we're freelancing it because, as you see, we have a different setup, and I told you from before, the podcast is always going to be within growth. We're going to keep on growing, keep on thriving, giving you the best content, giving you great aesthetic looks, things of that nature. So obviously, you see, I hear my dog in the background. Hold that though.
Carter was like,
"Jeez." So yeah, so we're really just we're testing out some new stuff and trying to get more creative because Nick is the tech guru, guys. I'm like the when it comes to learning how to do this thing called podcasting and talk shows.
Technology,
basically. And the funny thing is, Nick, because Nick's a lot older than me. I just gotta say, he's representing the 40 and over folks.
That's it, man. I'll be 42 this year.
He's showing a guy under his 30s how to figure out. Man, my dog just sneezed all my leg. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did.
He sneezed all on it, literally like a wet spot was right there.
Yeah,
but yeah, we just we're getting creative. We both have two podcasts. They continue to grow and thrive. We like I said, Life Recreated is a great show that I highly recommend. Subscribe on YouTube right now too. You can listen to all podcast platforms. And yeah, so Nick, how's Life Recreated going? How's the podcast?
It's been going well, man. I've made some kind of shifts in it, and kind of really trying to really focus down on like what I'm trying to narrow down on helping people with. Overall, it was like more about like mental health, and just the overall spectrum of mental health. But lately, I've been studying a lot, and I've been learning a lot about like our emotions, emotional intelligence, those different type of things. So that's where I've been kind of like, that's the lane I've been in right now because I'm just fascinated with learning.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I mean, I'm a subscriber, so I tune in and I see nothing but like you bring on conversations where it's interesting because you're thinking, okay, you can recycle or you can keep on giving us new stuff where it's like, whoa, I did not think about it. And you bring in new talking, new discussions that people just don't really think of, but it happens in everyday life in a sense.
Sure.
It happens, it occurs within, family conversations. It occurs within the conversation amongst, a group of guys. It occurs in, groups of couples and things in that nature. So I think it's needed that we need shows like yours because it's 2024 now. We are continuing to see a shift of mental health victims that are prior to that they were more of like the macho, very closed-minded people or like sheltered and saying I'm not sharing my stuff. But now it's like I gotta say something. I gotta say this because I'm struggling with stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like part of that change came for me, like I guess speaking from my perspective, like when I thought about different topics like mental health, and I've always been interested in it, but it's like you said, it was like always a stigma. And like I consider like I'm a manly kind of man. Like I love the outdoors, I like the woods, I like all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it was kind of getting over this idea.
Outdoor stuff, that's just saying that, hey, I'm a black man, but I like outdoor.
But, like
camping in the woods?
Loving it. That's where I'd be at, man. If I could be out, if my favorite place is out in the woods. So, but, like I just started thinking about the fact that, this is something we all deal with, right? It's life. Like our whole life is lived through the perspective of our mind. And nobody really, even from our community, taught us how to take care of ourselves mentally, how to take care of ourselves emotionally. And, for a lot of us, like you said, I'm in my 40s, there's things that I'm like learning and going through now where I'm like, yo, how come nobody like explained that this was going to happen or this was going to be the process? And so I think it's our responsibility to make it more vocal and make it more accessible to everybody. Right. And so, and for me, when I started going through this journey personally, I didn't see a lot of men that look like me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
to be honest with you, when you look at like the mental health field, it's middle aged like white women, and it's like I get that they could teach me something, but it's like,
Well, you know what, and it kind of goes down. I think like culturally, it was something that was never taught for a reason. Because again, I mean, I'm no history buff, but what I am aware of is back during like slavery times, the men was the one that you could not show emotion because they
couldn't.
had to one provide for their family, they had to protect their family, and they just always had they got abused. Both genders that got men and women that got abused at that period, but it's like you could not show your emotion. So now fast forward, and you're seeing a lot of black males just now saying, hey, look, I'm struggling, I'm going through something. And it's more of, it makes it more of a man to open up more than to say, well, look, in order to be a man, you got to change a tire. In order to be a man,
Yeah,
you gotta know how to I don't know,
make
make
money,
money, all
get
that
women,
stuff,
yeah, all that
all
stuff.
that
Yeah,
stuff. And it's just, it's I do think, and again, it's, because it's still Black History Month, and I think it was just really a culture thing where you could not show your emotions, and you had to always toughen up. And I think that's
yeah.
why it kind of runs down to generation to generation, where it's like our fathers had said, all right, man up, toughen up. So don't
Mhm.
don't talk on that. But it's a different vibe
But
now.
then also you got to think about too, like part of our history is like we we wouldn't feel comfortable, we wouldn't feel safe going to a hospital, going to a doctor because we didn't know, what their objective was going to be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So like you take that, and I had an interview with a good friend of mine, BJ. He's out in California. He has a nonprofit called Can I Be Vulnerable?
Mm.
He made a statement. He was like, you think about when you look at our history and what they did to us when it came to the health industry, especially with black folks, black women, black men, and then you want us to take something as delicate as our mind and put that in the hands of somebody else. You know what I mean? Like that's a
It's like,
hard.
don't be shocked if we're looking at you like we can't trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, we see what you did to a lot of us, and it
I
only
mean,
makes
that's the
sense
whole
now.
thing when we had the pandemic, like you like, I think 3-4 years ago. I mean, people were like, "Nah, I ain't taking that back.
They
No, no, no.
they don't trust
I
it.
need to do some more research." I'm like, bro, when the last time you been on a computer reading a book? When the last time? What research are you gonna be doing? That's one thing. I know some. I got some buddies where it's like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna just do my more research." Research is like looking at a few clips, be like, see.
Exactly.
That's their
Yeah.
research. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally not going in depth, reading on, okay, what exactly each one state means and this and that. Like, so but it again, to piggyback what you just said, the untrustworthiness, or the untrustworthiness amongst the community, and like just things like people in the hospitals. I mean, that's why black men are the really the main demographic that are always the one that never wants to go to the hospital to check
That's
out
it.
themselves, man.
That's
they
it,
they never
bro.
want to go and say, because for one, they think of, well, if I go there, I'm leaving out there with paying something, because they gonna find something
They
wrong
go.
with me. And I
Yeah.
don't believe,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna
Yeah.
claim that in the name of Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I'm a
Exactly.
believer of Christ, love him to death. But best believe, I would look. I'm gonna listen to my doctors. I'm not gonna say, no, I'm gonna put this in the hands of the Lord, because guess what? I'm a realist too.
That's
I'm a
it.
realist,
Yeah.
and them same people that said that, they missing the foot right
Yeah.
there, because they
Exactly.
said they gonna put it.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
gonna put it in the name of the Lord and stuff like
And then you
that.
think about doctors, though, right? The way I kind of look at it is, I remember somebody teaching me this early on. They were like, Nick, you should always have like a few things in your arsenal of people right? You should always have a good CPA
True,
that can help you with your money.
true,
You should
true,
always have somebody you can call on if you need like, law advice or something like
true,
that.
true.
And they were like, you should always have a good doctor. Like
Very
you
true.
need a good doctor because that is what they get paid for, because they went and they got the training to learn how to take care of us.
It's
Now,
true.
does that mean that all doctors are good? No,
No,
there's
no.
bad doctors, there's good doctors, but that's like anything else. There's good car salesmen, there's bad car salesmen.
And you make a good point, because if you want to play devil's advocate, yes, we live in a world where a lot of the pharmaceutical companies, they basically sponsor doctors.
Right. You're
They
right.
they say, hey, look, we're gonna give you this if you sell this many in this certain quota. you might get a certain bonus and stuff like that. Especially for like surgeons, because surgeons don't get paid if they don't have a surgery.
They don't. Yeah,
so
exactly.
what can they fall on?
Medication, yeah.
Prescribes, and that is the sad part, of our day and time, because money over morals is always going to be the kicker. Everybody wants that almighty dollar, but it's all about still having those good morals and that mean well, so that like the good doctors that say, hey, look, I think you should take this, but then you have the ones that are, I guess, take advantage, and again, it doesn't help that whole. I don't trust this one.
But if you really think about that, though, and that's a really good point, but if you really think about it and you look at it, it's only really a small percentage of bad people that are doing that.
True.
Just like a lot of other things, like when we look at situations that happen, we tend to lump everybody in a category once like one person messes it up. One doctor comes out and it's like, oh, they did this and they had malpractice, and now we think that all the doctors are like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, man. And so I think that's what we got to learn, especially when it comes to our mental health now, especially in our community. I think it's definitely a big thing to talk about now. We need it.
Also, look, moving on from mental health. I mean, well, it's still a very important topic, but moving on from that, man, how important is it now to be, say, how big is representation right now in 2024 as a black male? Because I feel as though like every day it's always a step up for us, or like it's not a step up, but it's like it's always like a new task that we have to try to accomplish. Because of course we always hear the jokes of black men don't cheat, or what's another one? We've already spoken on the mental health aspect. Like black men don't express themselves. They don't show their emotional side. You're a father now, and again it's 2024, so we're living through an adjustment period where you have to bring awareness to your children. Be like, hey, look, this is gonna help prepare you. Once you're at a certain age and things like that. I don't know, man.
So you saying how important is it for us now to have that representation as black men?
Because I feel as though too, and it's for all people, but I mean, look at who are the when I see public figures, right? The ones that kids look up to now are like rappers, entertainers. The highest, most watched TV now are reality TV shows that probably is gonna 80% of the time is gonna involve an argument and a brawl and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like I always speak on like the pod, like, hey, look, changing the narrative is my mission. I want to make sure that people don't ever judge somebody by the cover, because they're gonna make assumptions. They're gonna think, oh, you're probably just like the rest of them, but they're not really focusing on like your actions or accomplishments that you're doing in the community. So that's why I brought up, like, how important now is representation, and or how important is representation in general. I mean, not just in 2024, but just in general.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things there. Number one, I think more than ever now, because of the way that the world has changed, and because of the way now that we have access to sharing our thoughts, social media, all those different things, it's probably more important now than ever. You know what I mean? Like if you look at like, you look at like our younger generation that's coming up behind us, like you said, a lot of the people that they're looking up to are all of these, celebrities and different things. And I get it. I mean, the reason why is because those are the people that are making buku dollars. They're making money. So, like what are you going to really go look after? Like, it's,
I either can praise the community activist that's broke, or I can praise this one that just made $1 million in an hour.
That's it. So I think it's right now it's crucial. I think it's really crucial for us. But more than that too, I think that we're in a space, especially as black men, that we have to be able to lift up black women, right? Because if you think of like black women, me and my wife talk about this all the time. Out of all the demographics in the whole United States, black women fall at the bottom of all of that. Not only are they having to deal with, just the racism aspect of it, but then they have to deal with the sexism. Oh yeah, this is one. Yeah, you have to deal with yeah, there you go. You got to deal with the sexism part of it, right? And so, so not only is it not only are they dealing with just being black, but then they're also dealing with being black women. And so, like, I think for us as black men, our responsibility is to be able to say, okay, how am I going to represent in this community to where they're seeing a strong black man? You know, one of my biggest goals in life has always been like, okay, I'm going to be a good husband and I'm going to be a good father. Not because I want people to be like, oh, you're doing a great job, but because I know at the end of the day, if I don't set that example in my house, and if I don't,
It's good. It's good. It's gonna always follow. Someone's gonna follow
somebody's
that
going
and
to
be
always
like, "Oh,
follow. Yeah.
that's okay. Okay, let me do that." So
Exactly. And so like I had to make it an effort. Now, I mean, like, I'm not making buku dollars where somebody would be like, oh my God, but we all know at the end of that game, there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that
yeah,
can only take us so far. So
yeah,
to answer that question, I think that we need to be not necessarily not necessarily as vocal, but more of an
action.
example.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
action. You know what I'm saying? Like they need, I think our world needs to see, yes, there's good black men. There's men that are taking care of their business. There's men that are taking care of their homes, their wives, their children, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
and that's what should be commendable.
Absolutely,
You know
because
what I mean?
I think the hard part is certain TV's gonna have their certain agenda. They're gonna have like their motive of what they want
Yeah.
to promote. They're gonna look at what brings higher ratings. Not good stories doesn't bring good ratings. Controversy now is like what boost ratings. That's why I mean look at Cat Williams on Club Shay Shay. Like I
Yeah, he
mean
went in.
he went in and not saying he was wrong or right, but it garnered like 30 million views in like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. I mean, it was
There's
in
a
a
lot,
short.
yeah.
It blew out like social media, and it was because honestly he was calling out people, and I mean that's never a good thing when you want to do that publicly. Like handle your issues like behind the scenes, right? Handle that private, but. Hey, people love people love tea. They love tea. They don't like drinking it, but they sure love hearing about it. Ooh,
They
I guess
love
that man
hearing
was
about
spilling
it.
tea.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally what you're saying is definitely when it comes to supporting black females, man. I mean we've spoken on it on my radio show, and I spoke a little bit on the podcast, like when Taraji P Henson had brought up her pay wage issues, and that's basically going on. It's been going on forever. And it's like we always thinking of like why where's the why factor? Why are they making less? Why are they making this this kind of money? And the sad part is when what you eating, Carter? I thought Carter was eating. Carter's mouth is. Y'all, my bad. I got my dog with me, and he is just all around. But he's getting a bath today and stuff, so it's all good. But I spoke with my co-host Michelle Young, and she was saying that the sad part is what is the highest grossing industry where women make tons of money. And I said, what is that? She's like, our bodies.
Dancing,
She
yeah.
said dancing, OnlyFans with the explicit content, strippers. That is where we get a huge amount of money, and it's sad because it doesn't represent ladies in a positive way. There's so
Yeah.
many. We have ladies that are Supreme Court justice. We have ladies that are leaders in medicine. You name it, they're leaders in sports, and they still don't get their equal amount of money. And it's another story when we discuss as far as the pay wage in sports. But it's unfortunate because ladies put just as much work, maybe even more work. Because without women, I mean, I will say this: without women in my life, I'll probably be missing out on paying bills and this and that. And the other. Like they're educated when they're very educated when it comes to look. This is how you gotta do. This is how you gotta do. I'm like, whoa, you teaching me something. Like I learn a lot from. I'm a mama's boy, so I learn a lot from my
Yeah.
mother.
Your mom is a
I,
businesswoman too. So
I
she
mean,
is,
I
yeah.
learned a lot from her, and
Yeah.
I have I have my father in my life, things like that. He's been been there with me since I was a kid. But it's like it's a different vibe when with your mom. Your mom
Yeah.
is she also can help. Like there's a movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She said your father is probably the head, but I'm the women are the neck. So we
Yeah.
guide them whatever, and this is
That's
like
it.
you got to think about it. It's like oh snap, she
That's
just
it. And to take that a step
that's a
further,
bar.
when you talk about black women, usually it takes a black woman to create some kind of change in an environment. Right? We see it happening now. Beyonce just came out and said she's about to drop a country album.
As she should. As she
And she
should.
should,
As she
right?
should.
But I was listening to something and they were talking about how Or actually, somebody was talking to me about it, and they were saying that they wouldn't play her music on
Oh,
country radio.
there have been multiple radio stations that were refusing to play her music. There have been uh, people in country music that came out vocally disrespecting her. There was this one guy, which is funny, and I spoke on it on my podcast probably like a couple days ago. This actor, matter of fact, I even say who he is. He's well, if y'all ever watched the original show Dukes of Hazzard, he played Bo Duke or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he came out and he was saying, yeah, Beyonce transitioning to country music, like it's like a dog marking a tree, like when they go to a tree. So I'm like, whoa, I said,
Yeah,
did
how do
he
you
just?
say
But
that?
it's just the disrespect. And the funny thing is, people got to realize Beyonce from Houston, Texas. Beyonce
She
been
is
country.
country. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She
Yeah.
more country than Keith Urban.
Yeah.
No beef with Keith Urban. Keith Urban from Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. When do you hear Australian country singer?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
people don't have common sense, but it's just like they try to cover up with all these, reasons why. But we
Yeah.
all know. I mean, it's just come
Yep.
on now. And yeah, Beyonce's always been country, and Beyonce is an artist. Your wife and myself, we're part of a upcoming show called The Full Package, where which Roberta serves as a judge. I'm a backstage host of a dope show. I can't wait when we're finished taping and you guys can get to tune into it. But it's a singing songwriting competition show, and watching it behind the scenes, I've seen all the artists are not sold in one. They're not in one box. They're not in one genre. They're artists. Artistry means you're versatile. You can
You
go
can do
from
everything.
here to
Yeah.
there.
How can you put a
everywhere.
box on creativity?
Exactly.
Like you can't.
And that's the thing with Beyonce. Like, yes, Beyonce, we saw her in Destiny Child. We saw her with R&B, pop. Now country. She's done a little bit of hip hop. She's done it. She's done it all. And it's just like, why not? She has 32 Grammys. Hell, I'm surprised she ain't do like when the Super Bowl commercial shows up with the saxophone. I'm like, you better do it. You better make a tour with Kenny G or something.
I'm
like,
telling you.
why not? So
Yeah.
I think it's frustrating the fact that they think that she's gonna be messing the genre up because again, country music is it for one, country music was originated from African Americans. Let's
Yeah.
go back to like Charlie Pryor, right? Like
Yeah.
it's always been predominantly a black genre, but now through times it's been more white dominant genre. But now it's resurfacing with you have people like Mickey Geisen, you have Kane Brown, you have War and Treaty that are topping the charts. You have the lovely Miss Roberta Lee, who has an awesome job. Too Much of a Woman album.
There you go. Go cop that. Yeah.
Um,
Black Opry. The Black Opry is
Black
a
Opry
collective
as a
of
whole.
all
I mean,
black.
it's just,
Yeah.
there's so many of them that are continuing to do great things. And so for country music, for stations, for fans to get frustrated, I mean, you basically tell on yourself. I mean, like why? I mean, and not saying all of them are being offensive because of complexion. Because let's be honest, it's just like if LeBron James said, "Hey, look, I want to go into baseball," or
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
people are gonna
exactly.
get tired.
Yeah,
People are gonna get
yeah,
tired. So
yeah.
I get certain levels, but it's like give that same criticism to Taylor Swift when she jumped from country to pop,
Yeah.
or one from the other. It's just I just wish it was more and more not going ham on on our females, but they do. Our females need they need to be treated more than what they've been doing on a positive note, man, because we're still talking about equal pay for them, and it's unfortunate because I'm like, shoot, they working. They probably the ones that help clean the house, cook, and they produce, and they still doing their job. Like, I mean, why not give? They deserve
Yeah,
a
for a
lot more
lot.
money.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Shoot.
definitely true.
I can't even have. I hate having gas, so I can't imagine going through labor or being
Yeah.
pregnant. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, good
yeah.
gracious. But no, man. I want to bring up those, just kind of catch up with you. And lastly, I want to ask before we close it out. You mentioned your wife Roberta. You guys are a powerhouse couple, and what I mean by that is like you both work together. You're like, your brand is as one, and you're back and forth. You're doing your thing with Life Recreated, and continuing your education. Working on your masters. Roberta's touring, and you're still there at the same. How do you manage still keeping the marriage sharp, still keeping the family all together? Like, how? Because I know it can be a lot. Because I mean, I'm
Yeah.
over here, like, I got one dog and my wife, and it's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I need a vacation. I need a vacation. But this guy over here, it's different, man.
Yeah.
How do you adjust, and how can you any advice you can give to the couples out there that are thinking of wanting to invest with each other, work together, some form
For
of
sure.
business.
Well, so I think first it really started out with a lot of hard conversations. We had a lot of hard conversations when we actually, before we even get into anything where we know it's going to be like a big project and it's going to be a task, we got a lot of hard conversations, right? And so one of the things that I've always loved about Roberta is she's not afraid to have those difficult conversations, and I'm not afraid to have them either. So we sat down and I was like, yo, what do we want this to look like? A lot of people don't know, like, part of my background when I was pastoring, I went to her and I said, hey, look, I know I feel called to preach. I know I feel called to pastor a church. What do you think? And we had those difficult conversations. And so at the end of the conversation, she was like, look, I'll support you. I'll do what you need to do. And so I knew that with her pursuing music, when that season came, I was like, okay, we're going to have a hard conversation. Like, what do we think this is going to look like? Excuse me, what do we expect it to be? She didn't, in the beginning, we didn't really know. You know what I mean? We didn't really know, but I knew based on our history and based on what we've gone through together that when I needed somebody, and we took up everything that we had, left jobs, went to a whole nother state. That was the first time she ever left this area.
Talk about taking a gamble, y'all.
Yeah, taking a gamble, man. And
gamble.
she rode me 100%. Like, and so I knew that when the season shifted, it was time to reciprocate that, right? So, and sometimes as men, we always think like it's got to be the thing that we're pushing, right? And that's good. We need to push, but at the same time, like if you're riding a bicycle, and this is the example that we always use, like one pedal has to always go forward and the other one has to be back. It can't both be forward at the same time, because then you're not riding a bike.
True.
Right.
See, that's the pastor in him right here. Look, let me tell you something. Now, a bike now.
Yeah, exactly.
See, y'all listen to me now. Listen,
Exactly.
the pedal can't go both. You need to. That was the pastor right there.
Yeah. That was the pastor thinking there. So when we had those conversations, I said, hey, look, I'm going to support you. It's your season to have this where you're moving forward and you're progressing, and I'm gonna have to be behind you. And then my other part to that too is I always think about it like this: like, if I'm gonna have a business partner, why wouldn't I want like my wife to be the person doing it? Like,
I can trust you.
Yeah, there's nobody on the face of this earth that knows me better than my wife.
If I'm late on paying you, I know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so in my mind,
I was slim now. Don't be mad.
But in my head, I was like, yo, if we're gonna go and do this, like, I trust other people, but I trust my wife.
Yeah,
like, she's seen me.
It's nothing like it. It's so funny because I always like to throw in a little like entrepreneurship advice here and there. Because I know, and I'm still a student too, but I always say, hey, look, this has so far helped me throughout my journey. It's nothing wrong with working together with family. To me, I feel as though the first thing you can think of the perks of working with family is, again, cost. Because if you hire somebody outside, you have to worry about another. I mean, at least family can say, okay, look, for the I can do volunteer stuff for like the next couple years, and you can at least pay me like lunch or this and that. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to negotiate with family. Also, too, my win is their win. Their win is my win. So it's like, why, and then on top of that too, they can be a part. They can be with you really like for the longest. Sometimes when you do bring on outside, which is nothing wrong with that, but depending on if it's a younger individual, they might be just doing it for a certain temporary period just for the experience, build up the resume. Hey, look, I gotta go. Now it's back to the cycle of hiring. So there's nothing wrong with bringing in family, and that don't mean blood. Whoever you think is family to you, bring on, because sometimes it could be difficult working together with family. It could be a lot of arguments and stuff. So
for sure.
But I think I always say, like, man, family. Majority of my help with my business is family. I mean, I have my mom, my aunt, my wife, my cousins, my other aunt. I mean, they've helped out too with me. So it's a lot of fun. But then we do have other people that are, but I still consider family, obviously.
For sure.
That's for a long time.
Sure.
But
yeah, that's a big thing, man. And then and then also too, like the last thing too, there's like no such thing as balance, right? Like, like you said, like, how do you juggle all those different things? It's like, I just know that there's times where I'm not going to be balanced. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, it's impossible for me to think that I could take all my time and energy and focus it on like one thing. If I have the bandwidth to do it, you know what I mean, in that moment, then that's what I'm gonna do. I mean, like, you know, think about it, we met because when I was in real estate, and then during that time, that's what I focused on. And so when that season shifted, I was like, yo, I don't have the bandwidth for it. So, and that's the other thing I had to just pay attention to is like recognizing what do I have the bandwidth to handle, and you know, and then just to communicating, man, letting each other know like, hey, this is where we're at. There's been times when me and Roberta have had conversations where things happen, and I'll tell her like, these things made me feel resentful towards you, right? You know what I mean? Like, it made me feel like that because of X, Y, and Z, rather than me not saying anything and then having those situations happen, and then they keep happening, and then all of a sudden now, and this is what happens when you think about relationships, right? When it gets to the end and they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, well, dang, you ain't saying nothing for like 5 years of going through this, you know?
Wow.
So the communicating.
Definitely communication.
The communication.
You can't hold anything, like you can't keep anything secretive with your spouse. And that's something I always learn, because I mean, I'm still a rookie when it comes to this thing called marriage.
Yeah.
Another question too, and these are just for the people that are parents, man. Again, with the schedule like that, with, you know, Roberta and really the family, you know, traveling a lot, because I mean, that's the awesome thing too. You are a support team when she travels. Hey, y'all,
we are rolling,
y'all
yeah.
front, you know, front and center.
We are
my man got top of the line soccer mom, and I'm messing with you. But hey, but it's tough though. That thing,
Swagger wagon, baby. It's swagger wagon. That's our tour bus right now. Until I get one. Until I get some money up.
Hey, it was coming soon, man. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
But you know, gotta ask, you know, how do you guys structure, you and Roberta structure the time, to yourself? Because that's one thing, as a young couple, like my wife and I, we don't have children. We do have a dog, but you know, and obviously kids are in the future. You know how we've had the conversation about kids. All my friends know me about the kid situation. I'm a work in progress. But obviously I'm gonna take the L, because look, my wife wants kids, and my mom wants a grandchild. So it's like,
so you're gonna have to.
You're gonna have to try and escape y'all. Like, I'm trying to, like, where's he at? I'm in the DR. I'm not coming back home. But how do y'all make the time for yourself? And because you do, because when you have kids, like, how do you make the time to yourself without getting nasty?
No, it's all good. So first, a couple things.
Take a bottle of this now. I'm joking.
First, a couple things, like when we first got married, because we've been going on like 15 years this year. But when we first got married, we were intentional on like, let's spend this first few years on just us. Like, we didn't rush into having kids. Like, we were like, I think, we were married for 4 or 5 years before I had, my wife had my daughter. So I said, let's focus on just spending time with us, because that's important. And then once we had kids, number one, our family in the area has been very helpful. My sister-in-law is in the area. She's very helpful with helping them, helping take care and helping give us our time. But then we literally try and schedule that stuff out. So every month, typically, when we can get it in, we do 2 things. We'll have like a monthly brainstorming session where we just look at our whole month and we say, okay, you got this going on, I got this going on. Like, where do we get time in to spend with each other? And so this year, actually, 2024, one of our goals, we go through this thing every year called the 5 equities at the beginning of the year. And it's when we kind of sit down and we look at like relationships goals, finance goals, family goals, like work stuff that we're trying to work on, and all those different things. And so for this year, one of our relationship goals were, every month we try and have our date nights once a week, right? So the first week is a free date night, like we ain't spending no money. The second week we'll try and do like $50. Third week we might do like $100, and then and the other one we'll do like.
I'm gonna start stealing that one, because let me tell you something.
The cost of
stuff just keeps on shooting up, and that is something where I'm like,
and
that's why it's good. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's why it's always great too to have a good friend that is an experience. Like, families always say, when you first got married, all right, look, it's okay to have some of your single friends, but hey, you better start finding some friends.
You got to,
you have to, and it's because it's a learning thing. And I'm not a follower. I still have a bunch of single friends that I'll still hang with and stuff, but I know how important it is to have friends that are in relationships or that is married with multiple years. Because like I mean, Nick is on 15. My bro, Jason and Sherry, who y'all met, I think,
Yeah.
they're 13 years. So it's
Yeah.
like I mean, it really helps having couple in the circle of friends that
Got to.
we do
You
have.
got
Because
to.
I always try to like, okay, so 50, I like that. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
you got to, man. And
Because
so
I spend 50 by myself on food nowadays,
yeah,
too. And
exactly, exactly.
that's drive through.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we started doing that, and then every week, we do like a weekly brainstorming session. So where we'll get together like on Wednesdays usually, and we'll look at the whole week, and we'll say, hey, what time do we got here? And then there's a lot of times where like we might not have the kids, and it's like, look, let's go on a quick date night. Like let's go get like a cup of coffee or something like that. But always just kind of pursuing each other, always taking that time
I'm
for each
sorry,
other.
I'm a kid. I'm like, he said, we should go get a cup of coffee. Yeah, right. Kids ain't
Yeah, that's it.
Shoot, it's still daylight too, because when they get dark,
I'm
it gets
telling you,
tired.
yeah, for real, for real. So just really being intentional on that, man, and just being really honest with each other, dog. Honest with each other, and then also like with talking to our kids, like the reason that we bring them, the reason I like to, and that's something that when we started kind of doing and pursuing Roberta and her music, we knew we'd be traveling a lot and doing all those kind of things. I said it's important for us to bring the kids so they know and they can see what it is that we're doing. Like
Oh, absolutely,
you think
because
about kids a lot of times like we can just dip out and just go and we'll be gone and they don't know what we're doing. They just think, in their young minds, they're like, oh, mom and dad don't want to spend time with us. You know what I mean? But when we bring them, they're behind the scenes. I got them behind the merch table. I'm like, yo, this is how we
well,
still
and to
help
me,
them.
it's like the best thing is, I'm gonna be closing in a few, but like the best thing where I see when I see you guys and y'all bring your kids along too, it's just awesome memories. So like myself, I always say I was born in a household where I had my father and my mother were not together, but they very much still was a big part of my life and had a big impact on my life. And now I'm the Lord bless me with a bonus there. My mom's
Yeah.
husband, right? So I was surrounded by great people, but I do remember growing up, like if I'm hanging with my dad, stepmom, and my half siblings, there were stories where I couldn't relate because I wasn't really around. It's not their fault. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's just the fact of the matter is if you don't have to kind of example what you're saying is like if you don't bring your kids along with that too. For one, they can't see how it is to this when it comes to when they're a certain age. This is how you do it. This is how
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
right. And then on top of that, memories, man. The worst thing you can do is go through a family reunion. Y'all don't have not a damn thing to say.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
y'all remember
Yeah.
what? No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time. So it's just always great memories. And I mean, talented kids. I mean, your daughter's Beethoven. I'm just saying, like, I come
Yeah.
in here like,
Yeah.
I'm like, who is that with? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she every Thursdays,
Yeah.
and then your son is just, I mean, friendly as can be. I mean, all your kids are awesome, man. But
Yeah.
I think it's dope that you have them being involved in the process of because one, they're learning business when it comes
That's
to
the
that
other thing
mercy.
too.
That they're learning
That's the other
business.
thing. They
Uh,
learn how to talk to
they
adults,
learn how to talk, and they're.
like confident. Yeah.
What? I mean, when Roberta had her, it wasn't it was a listening party, and your daughter was always was speaking and saying what she thought about it. I was like, man, you know how jealous I am because Nick knows I don't like speaking in public in front of people.
Yeah,
I hate
exactly.
it still to this day.
Yeah.
And she was just very comfortable and life of the party and stuff. But again, that just all comes from from upbringing, right? What they see, what they learn from their parents, and I
It's
mean,
all modeling, man.
definitely all can take notes on it, man. And we gonna close this up because like I said, we playing a little bit with this, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed this little quick convo here on the Arrington Gavin podcast. Be sure to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 10 a.m. Via podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and also 5 p.m. On YouTube. Our YouTube channel is R Smooth Club Media. If you are a Rumble subscriber too, we're on Rumble is very low. So, but if you are one, hey, be sure to subscribe. All you have to do is type in the Arrington Gavin podcast. What else? Facebook at R Smooth Club Podcast. X as well. You can watch us from there. We got a lot of great stuff happening. Also, do the same thing to my good friend, Mr. Nick Halmond-Walters, host of Life Recreated Podcast. Again, look that up right now on YouTube. Subscribe, like all that good stuff. Yeah, we out.